Again, looking back to feedback from last year, a lot of caregivers talked about wanting to see more often what their students were doing in class, engaging with in class, how they were keeping up with their coursework, okay? So we've enhanced PowerSchool. There's a training video tutorial coming to you very soon. We have recently acquired Schoology. Schoology is like my child, okay? I've been carrying around Schoology for a couple months now, and I am so excited to introduce Schoology, okay? In Schoology, you have a separate parent login. That means you get course updates daily or weekly. It's connected to the PowerSchool gradebook. You get to see if something is done on time or late. You get to check attendance and make sure that your student is attending class. Now, you can't interact with the course and you can't see anybody else and what they're doing, but you can see exactly what your student is doing. You'll get this. Here we go. Here's my grade. Here's my attendance. Oh, Sam, what's happening? Sam, what are you missing? Okay. What do you have coming up? And what recent activity are we looking at? And this is your account. Now, the awesome thing, one of the awesome things about Schoology is you only need one Schoology account forever. It will follow your child the entire time they are at ACPA. And if you have multiple students attending ACPA, you only need one login, and you can add each human being to your login. Hooray. I'm sorry. I am like sports excited for Schoology. Like, I have been pumped up about Schoology for a long time. Okay. So again, I'm going to send videos. I'm going to send tutorials. I'm going to send everything. Yes, Miss Rogers, high school and middle school. It's going to be the greatest thing ever. I'm going to send you all the videos. I'm going to send you the tutorials, and you're going to say, Miss Fingerhead, thank you for walking me through this step by step. But we don't want to do that today. You want to hear about other things. We would all go night-night. So that's that. Okay, I talked about Zoom. Now we can talk about supply lists. Here we go. Chromebook pickup is Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday next week. 2 of those slots are in the morning. 1 of them is in the afternoon. You have a list of parent supplies, caregiver supplies. Those are the things that you are going to go out instead of buying binders and trapper keepers. Anybody trapper keepers? Just me? I said that joke the other day as well. Okay, good. You're going to use, instead of buying that, you're going to buy things like Mr. Whit needs vinegar and food coloring and a whole bunch of weird science stuff. Who knows what he's doing? Probably blowing stuff up. I don't know. He'll probably tell you that he is. Okay. And then you're going to need some art supplies. You're going to need a calculator. You're going to maybe want to go out and get a little whiteboard for math. Okay. And then you're going to get kits. In a few weeks, ACPA will have kits based on what courses your student is rostered into. So Mr. Whit is going to send home a kit with all sorts of crazy science things for his demonstrations. Miss Piscini is going to send home, I don't even know, sketchbooks, origami paper. It's going to be wild. There are a lot of school supplies, but we're going to do them in 3 separate ways. Chromebook pickup, you pick up, ACPA kit pickup. Put it in the chat bar if you have a question, because that's very confusing, and I promise I will clarify everything. Also, I promise I will talk more about how to see all of your students' things in Schoology and PowerSchool at a new time. I'm going to reserve that time for the videos, and then if you have additional questions from there, I can certainly answer them. Okay. Mr. Whit, did you want to add anything about supplies?
Yeah, I did. Thank you. Just so when you see that list of supplies, as Ms. Fingerhead was saying, it's going to look a little weird. As she mentioned, when you get the science kit from ACPA, there'll be lots and lots of really cool stuff in there. But there were some supplies that it just didn't make much sense, like salt or dish soap and that kind of thing, to try and put a little bit into every single kit. it just made a lot more sense for you to have that kind of thing at home. It's the kind of stuff that you usually have at home anyway. You don't have to put it in the kit when the kid arrives, just have it on hand. So if you usually have salt and dish soap and vinegar and baking soda and that kind of stuff on hand, that should be sufficient. I just didn't want anybody to think that, oh, I've got to go out and get a gallon of vinegar and put it in the bag that we get from ACPA. That's not the intent. Okay, good.
Can I jump in real quick too, just with a couple of slides? All right, so for anybody taking the visual arts, not the digital one, but the visual arts course, we're going to start off with drawing and kind of work our way into mixed media. And so I put on the list for parents or caregivers to buy the very basic, you know, like 12 pack of pencils. The only one that might be a little bit harder to track down, but I actually just got this at Walmart today. They are drawing pencils, and there are so many different kinds of brands and art supplies. Don't stress about any specific brand. You know, find whatever is available and easy for you to get. And we can do really amazing art with a single pencil. And so if you have just a basic kit of, you know, 12 pencils at home, or if you have a 50 pack, any brand, perfect. You don't have to go out and buy additional things if you already have these supplies at home. And don't hesitate if you have any questions or want to email me. The other one too, which is really going to be fun, are the oil pastels. And there's a Crayola pack. I actually looked at Kroger the other day, and they had pretty much everything for like $1. So definitely check your grocery stores, Walmart. You can pretty much get everything you need at Walmart. Or any of the art supplies too. So shouldn't be anything too involved. And then once we get into the more advanced mixed media, start collecting and gathering random stuff at home, you know, recyclables, different things like that. And I'll keep reminding you throughout the year too, but don't stress about the art supplies. I just want to make sure everybody is, you know, on board. Any kind of brand, like I said, any pack, whatever you can get, we'll work with it. So we'll be good. All right, yeah.
And I just want to reiterate that that supply list is going to be, it's on the website already. So that supply list is very mapped out specifically. And on the form, if anybody needs any help acquiring supplies, those would be things like pencils or, you know, stuff like that. There's a question on the form and we can help you with that as well. Anything that has an asterisk next to it on the supply list. And again, these supply lists are based on which courses your student is rostered into, and I'll talk about how to get that information in a little bit. Okay.
Ms. Fingerhead, is there anything, should I say anything about instruments in band class yet? Or
of course.
Okay, so you could be scheduled, you could be signed up for either vocal music, choir, or band with me. And if you're in vocal music, you don't necessarily need to have an instrument. It might be nice to have a keyboard or a piano so that you can work on things that we're going to work on. And in band, same thing. There's a way we're going to work on music this year that doesn't require you to have an instrument if you don't already have one. But if you desire one, if it's something that we already have in the classroom, we are going to work out lending those to you while you're at home for this first semester. So be in touch with me. You can get to my email, jackson@artcollegeprep.org, and I'll be glad to get in touch with about what instrument you'd like to be playing in band and how we can help with that. We don't have a lot of things like woodwinds or brass instruments. We don't have those here, but I do have and guitars, bass, hand drums. I do have some other things depending on what your interests are. So contact me and I'll be glad to help you get what you need. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Jackson. All right. So I have two more things and then I'm going to pass the mic. First thing I want to tell everybody is you have access to your student schedules already. Here's how you do it. I sent your caregivers an email last night that has your PowerSchool account information. If you did not receive that email from me, send me, Ms. Fingerhead, an email, and I will send it again. It's no problem. It should have been from me, and it has a weird doc file attached to it. that has both the parent web access and the student web access. When you go on there, your schedule is on your PowerSchool, and that's how you know which classes you're taking. You should focus on supplies for any class you are enrolled into for term 1 and term 2. Just for the first semester, term 1 and term 2. Because your foundations classes rotate on a 9-week basis. Okay. PowerSchool's up there. All right. Expectations. Be present. Now, students, I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you with all my heart right now. I can see you. I can see your faces. I can see those eyeballs staring at me at the screen thinking, why is she doing this right now? It's normal. It's fine. Okay? Be present. The more you put in, the more opportunities you will have.
Miss Fingerhead, do you want me to do that one thing?
Yes.
Where I make everybody repeat after me?
Yes.
Okay. If you're a student, you can unmute yourself. This is going to be wild. So you can unmute yourself for a second. Oh boy. And then you're going to repeat after me. All right. Well, now we know what to do.
Okay. We tried.
They're just like these. Exactly like
In your home.
All right, back to mute.
I'm gonna mute.
And then what that was going to be was you were going to, what I asked at the very beginning about it, but it was going to be a really long, drawn out, very specific promise. So in your head, think about what it means to be a student, and then promise that in your head that you're going to do each day. That's the end of this finger.
Okay, now we know. Now we know. If you're not on mute at this time, please mute yourself. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm still looking at you, everybody. Thanks. I think I might have to remind, Aiden, will you mute yourself, please, dear? I think I have to remind PowerSchool to turn on the schedules. So it'll be there in a moment. Don't fret. It's something that can be done before 10 a.m. tomorrow. Okay, so be present. Show your face on Zoom. No more weird letter logos, y'all. You're going to show your face on Zoom every day during live stream, just like we're in school. You're going to adhere to our dress code, which is really easy. Are you ready? It's the 3 B's. Bottom, belly, breast. Cover all 3 and we're good to go. Okay? You can wear pajama pants. I don't care. Wear pajama pants. I don't know if I've worn a button since March. I'm here for it. But show your face. If you want to throw a background up on Zoom, I encourage it. Okay? That's a wonderful thing for everybody. You're welcome to use your backgrounds and create your own as long as they are school appropriate. Do I have an expectations page? I don't know. I don't think I do. Okay. And the last thing is Solution mindset, everybody. If we focus on the problems, we can't find solutions. So, solution mindset, and let's get it done together. Let's communicate and help each other out. Yes, you can of course sketch. I'm super pumped for all of you to sketch during your lectures. So you're just gonna sit in front of your computer and look at my face all day. Just kidding. You already have Zoom accounts. You're welcome. Okay, Miss Lutke. Miss Lutke is coming. She's gonna talk about the ACPA habits.
Hello.
I'm gonna mute myself and not talk again for the next hour. It's lovely to meet you all. Please continue to put questions in the chat bar. Chat soon.
Thank you, Ms. Fingerhead. You were wonderful. So the ACPA habits, this is actually a perfect segue because the ACPA habits are essentially what we expect out of all of you throughout the entire year. So we obviously already went over the ACPA values and Mr. Gatto explained that wonderful. And now we're going to talk about the habits, which when we were creating the middle school, we were very, very intentional about what we chose as our habits. So a lot of the students who are in this call right now, you hopefully are very familiar with what the habits are. And if you are not, that's totally okay because we're going to reteach them and these are going to be here the entire year. They are never going away. So basically the ACPA habits, what we do in the academic classes, in the foundations classes, even outside of those classes, we are always focusing on the ACPA habits. And on top of that, not only is this something that we will be continually reminding all of you all year about the ACPA habits, we will also be evaluating how you are doing with all the ACPA habits in your foundations classes and your academic classes. So Ms. Fingerhead, do you want me to quickly go through what we mean with all of the ACPA habits just to briefly describe them?
Yeah, let's do a brief overview.
Sure. Okay. So first one, we have collaboration. Obviously, when we were all in school in person, this was a little bit easier to do because essentially what we mean when we say collaboration is we want to see you working with your peers. We want to see you working with your teachers. We still obviously value this habit and we're going to transfer this to our digital learning. So when we say that we want you to be collaborative, that means we just want you to be participating meaningfully, working with other people, and sharing your ideas. With courageous, Mr. Whit especially will be talking about this a lot this year just because I know he ties this a lot to his science demonstrations. But basically, when we want you to be courageous, we want you to dive deep into whatever it is that you're doing. And we want you to just essentially put yourself in a good way, be a hard worker, all those things. Creative is also super important. And obviously, because we are an art school, that's especially something we truly do value. And when we say creative, that just means we want you to express yourself in a unique way that is meaningful to you. So we'll talk about how you can be creative in all of your classes, not just your foundations classes, but in all of your academic classes as well. Curious, we want you to ask questions. And again, I know it's going to be a lot harder to, facilitate asking questions when we are doing the digital model, but I promise you, we have a way for everything. We want to see you being curious, asking questions, again, diving into the content, and we want to hear from you because we do not want this whole digital learning just to be us talking at you. We want you to be engaged as well. With persistent, again, tying everything in, we want to make sure that you are keeping up with all the ACPA habits, you're keeping up with your classwork, your foundations classes, everything. Just be persistent. Reflection. We do a lot of reflection all year. That's why it's one of our ACPA habits. We want you constantly thinking about how you're doing and then where you can go from there. There's always room for improvement. Being responsible and timely, these kind of go hand in hand together, but essentially Ms. Fingerhead already went over how we expect you to be attentive for your classes, doing your work, engaging, and all of them do tie together. And I do notice that I said a lot of words for a lot of the habits, but that's the purpose of them, is all of them do tie together. And again, this is something that we will be going over all year. They are here to stay, and we're going to continue going over them with digital learning.
Thanks so much, Ms. Lutke. All right. Mastery with Mr. Whit.
Hi, everybody. So this is a topic that I could talk about for days on end. So you'll probably have to stop me at some point, but I am really, really passionate about this idea that we are teaching for mastery. And I'm just going to start off kind of sort of high level thinking, and then come down to more specifics. Okay. So from a high level perspective, what we want to do at ACPA Middle School is we want to challenge you. We want to keep raising the bar, right? We want to give you hard things to do and have you be successful doing those hard things. This, by the way, is Edward James Olmos playing Jaime Escalante in Stand and Deliver. It was a movie from way back when I was in college, and it means a lot to me. So if you haven't seen it, go watch it. He's a teacher that really focused on mastery learning. It wasn't about just getting through the lesson. It was about true understanding. So that's what we're after. Along with that, you should expect at ACPA Middle that you're going to make mistakes. There's going to be times when you haven't gotten it yet. And we'll talk about that word yet later on as well. Failure is a part of the path to success. One of the things I'm going to do is give you a little virtual tour of my classroom, and you'll see that one of the things in my classroom is the idea that mistakes are expected, respected, inspected, and corrected. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to make a lot of mistakes because that's how we learn. And in the mastery learning system, there's nothing wrong with mistakes. There's no penalty for making mistakes. It's encouraged because we want to take that path toward understanding. Feedback is so important. You know, in a traditional grading system, maybe you get a B and it's like, okay, I got a B and I'm done, right? But that's what does that mean that you got a B? We want to give you specific feedback about what you have done, what you have demonstrated, what you have learned, and what you still have left to learn. And that's the part we want you to remember and focus on, not the letter grade. So that's another reason that we think mastery learning is so important. The way that we define mastery, one of our definitions is that when you understand something so well that you can teach it to somebody else, then you've mastered it. Mastery is authentic, it's confident, you can take those skills that you've learned and you can apply them in other ways to other situations. And then I said I was going to come back to the word yet. Another thing you'll see in my classroom is over the door, there's the word yet. And you might say, why does it say yet? Because anytime you tell me I don't understand, I'll say, you don't understand yet, but you will. That's what mastery learning is all about. So in the mastery learning system, the goal is that everybody, every single learner in every single class masters everything. Will we get there? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not, but we're going to go for it. We're going to try to get there. So when you see your grades, if you want to call them that, on PowerSchool, they're going to be M for mastery, P for progressing, which means we're getting there, right? NP, which means we're not there yet, right? We're not progressing in the way that we want to, or NE, which just means no evidence, which means you didn't turn it in, or you haven't got it to it yet, or you were sick, or whatever. But I don't want you to think of them as A, B, C, and D. P is not the same as getting a B. P means we're still getting there. And you'll find out if you talk to some of the learners that were in my science class last year, you'll find out that if you got a P on the very first thing, I'll keep bugging you all year long. Every week I'll say, okay, let's try for that M. Let's keep going for it. Even if it's the last week of school and this was the first week when you got the P, you're still going to have the opportunity to get mastery on that. So every teacher is going to do things a little bit differently depending on the subject that they're teaching and the methods that work best for that particular teacher in that particular subject. In science class, mastery is going to be all about you demonstrating to me that you understand concepts. So we'll have what's called a post-assessment, and that post-assessment is kind of like a test, but don't think of it as a test. Think of it as preparation for a test. When you have completed that post-assessment to my satisfaction, then we'll do an interview. And in that interview, you will demonstrate to me that you have, in fact, mastered the material. And if you have, great, you've got your M. If not, well, you still have work to do and you've got a P, all right? And again, talking to the learners that were with us last year, there is so much joy. Take a look at Edward James Olmos there, that look of joy when somebody gets it. So much joy from the learners and from me when that M is achieved. And so it's a really powerful thing. It's a really powerful way to learn. So I'm sure lots of you all have lots of questions about the mastery system, and I'm sure that If you put the questions in the question bar, we can jump in and we can talk about it. Somebody asked if we were doing the demos this last year. We are going to be doing demos. It's all going to depend on our situation and how it works out. Ms. Fingerhead mentioned that earlier a little bit, but we're also going to be doing lots of hands-on science experiments that will help you get to mastery. So look for that, especially when those kits come. Okay. I'm going to stop now and just answer any. I don't know if we want to answer questions now about the mastery system, or we want to save them, Ms. Fingerhead. What do you think?
Let's save them to Q&A at the end.
Okay, let's do that.
That's really wonderful, though. Thank you, Mr. Whit.
My pleasure. I'm passionate about the mastery grading system. I'm happy to talk to you all day long about it if you want.
Thanks. One quick note before we move into project-based learning. PowerSchool. I want to go back there for 1 second. The reason why it's not working is because there's something on our back end of PowerSchool that we need to turn on for you. So here's what I'm going to tell you to do. Tomorrow morning, go on PowerSchool. Take a picture of your schedule, because then it's going to disappear again. I don't think the high school gets to see theirs yet. But you didn't hear that from me, okay? So if you don't get in the window and get to see your schedule, let me know and I'll send it to you, okay? But try again tomorrow. All right, Mr. Jackson, let's talk about PBL.
Okay, PBL, project-based learning. First of all, why hasn't it always been this way? Now that I've studied it, that is real life, and I am so happy that that's how we learn, because it's like being in real life. But let's first talk about maybe the more traditional way of learning so we can see the differences. Traditional learning looks like it's always what we need to know. Everybody double check that they're muted. There we go. Awesome. All right. So traditional learning looks like we're told what we need to know. We go and we memorize what we need to know. And then we're given a problem to try to illustrate how we would use that knowledge, right? So old people raise their hands. We did that in every class all the time. That was the way. That was the only way. And sometimes that was difficult to stay focused on learning it before you actually knew why you were learning it. And then you would get to the part where you'd have to illustrate that you knew it, and you wouldn't necessarily know it. You may have memorized some of it, but since you didn't know why, you didn't spend the time. At least that was my case through most of school. So let's talk about project-based learning. In project-based learning, as instructors, we first kind of look at our curriculum about what the state says that you need to know at this age and grade and this part of your academic career. And we kind of decide what skills we think you need during this time in your career, what you need to know. And then we decide, okay, we're going to come up with a driving question that allows you to have a choice so that you can have a project that you inquire about. So this is your choice. It was your decision about what you were going to inquire about. We're going to allow you to reflect and revise your project until you share it with each other and with some other people to help you edit this project, and then present it to the public. So that is, in a nutshell, how you will attack most of the things you do at school. Now, I'll tell you, so that makes a little more sense, I'll tell you what project that we came up with this summer. So I attended a training for project-based learning with Miss Toth, who teaches English. Sorry she's not here tonight. She probably would have done a better job with this than me, but we worked together to develop our own project for you in the fall, probably not till second 9 weeks, but it goes a little like this. I decided what music standards or what things I wanted you to know this year or be able to do this year, as well as Miss Toth decided what English things she wanted you to know. We decided what skills you would have to be able to do these things or to accomplish these things. And then we said, what is a way we can combine English and music together to have you engage in a project? And we came up with this driving question. We said, how can we impact social justice change through music and poetry? Do all those big words make sense to you? Social justice change. So essentially, we're talking about how can we write poetry and music to change the world, right? To change something that we see needs to be changed in the world. So the first thing we did is we will invite you to have a sustained inquiry, right? So you're going to engage with that question and decide what things you think you want to, what you want to change, or look into history. Hopefully we'll have Dr. Jones help us look into history, and we'll see how people have done this in the past, what social justice issues there were, and what people created music to create change. So we'll decide, we'll allow you to decide what it is that you want to write about, and we will look at the real world aspects of your project, right? So how authentic is it? What issue it is, and what you will want to have changed by the time your art is presented to the public. So you will get student voice and choice, is what we call it in project learning. You will get to decide in each phase of this project what it is you're doing and how you're going to do it. And that includes how you're going to write the song, what style of song it is, and writing the poetry or collaborating with someone to write the poetry, but it will be your choice throughout the entire project. Then we will give you a chance to reflect with one another and reflect on your own work, so that you can revise what it is that you've done until you're happy and ready to present it to the public. When you present it to the public, we've decided that maybe we would either create a CD. I guess that's an old thing. So that was our first thought, being a couple of older people, that we would create a CD that would have liner notes with you explaining for each song that you created, why you created and what you wanted to change in the world with your creation. But then we thought maybe a SoundCloud page where we have the same thing, and maybe we can even combine with the arts class to come up with some album art for this. So in the end, you will have something to give to the public saying, these are the things that at ACPA, as middle school students, that we care about, and we created this to make a change in the world. So hopefully that gives you an idea of what PBL is and the way we approach a lot of the learning in ACPA. And in the middle school last year, if you are people returning, you can probably give great examples about how you did project-based learning last year. So I look forward to doing that project with you and hearing your questions about project-based learning.
Thanks, Mr. Jackson. Okay, foundations friends. Let's start. Actually, Mr. Jackson, do you just want to tell us about your class? Do you want to add anything to the story?
Oh, goodness. So my class, we are going to focus on creating things this year. We have a new piece of software that connects with Schoology that's called Soundtrap. And Soundtrap is going to be a way that you all can record yourselves and in groups and by yourself, be able to create recordings of what you do, whether it be singing, whether it be playing an instrument, whether it be creating beats for someone else to sing or rap over. This program does it, and it's fully, you can collaborate with everyone in it, and I'm super excited that that's going to be the basis of at least this fall semester, so you can carry that tool with you through your music career at ACPA.
Thanks, Mr. Jackson. Dr. P, I know that you talked about your class a little bit, but I didn't know if you wanted to add anything else to the group.
Sure. So to kind of go into detail a little bit more with the traditional medium, so we'll have each term, we're going to explore a different medium. So we'll do, like I said, drawing. We're going to start off with that. You'll have all the supplies, get up and going. We'll kind of jump into mixed media. And a lot of this work will actually be done in a sketchbook. We are going to send some papers home, some larger mixed media paper, and some different textures to play around with. But we're going to kind of really engage in the sketchbook in that process, because that's a really good habit and workflow to have as a foundation going into high school. And especially if you're going to continue in visual art, that's a really good practice to start off with. And so then thinking long-term into the spring, regardless of the format, we're going to jump into some painting test out a lot of different types of paints, and then also getting into sculpture. And that's probably one of my favorite ones. I'm really excited for that because I have a background in sculpture, and I actually have a background in film production. And so, fun fact, I worked on some of the Marvel movies, some of the earlier ones. And so we're going to do a little bit of prop design, you know, maybe dabbling into some kind of costume and set pieces, and really thinking about how you can utilize three-dimensional skills, but then branch out into so many different design industries and avenues. And then switching gears to digital stuff, we're going to do a similar flow with 4 different art mediums. First one, we're going to really just dig into the foundations with the Photoshop apps. We're going to use all of the Chromebook apps. They're actually kind of intro based. The Photoshop Express has limited tools, but I think it's a really great app to start off with and to really get that foundation. So we'll jump into graphic design, and I hope some of the other projects that are going to, you know, potentially need, you know, album covers, like Mr. Jackson said, thinking in terms of how we can integrate graphic design into so many different things and branding. And then thinking in the spring, maybe going a little bit more three-dimensional and getting into animation, character development, comic books. And then maybe Mr. Wagner, a shout out to him, suggested Minecraft. And there's some really cool three-dimensional things we can do with Minecraft for school and learning. And so there's lots of flexibility. And so if anybody ever has any suggestions for these art classes, I would love to hear your input. And I really want to give students the option. So we'll kind of start with the foundation, but just think of it as a seed. And there is so many branches that's going to come out of this tree that you can take your artwork in any direction. So really excited. And it's pretty much about that. That's about it for the overview for the arts, visual arts and digital arts. So.
Thanks a million. Ms. Green, do you want to talk about career exploration a little bit?
Sure. Yeah, I talked a little bit about it, but just to go more in depth, we're going to start by going over like why explore careers. Why are we doing this at a middle school level? We're going to talk about how career exploration now at this age can really help you do even better in your classes, understand like how the material that you're learning in all your core classes really relates to your future lives. So we're really excited about that. We're going to, like I said, do a bunch of virtual job shadowing and learn about the different types of degrees that go into obtaining those jobs. We're going to learn about different industries, how they work together, what careers, you know, go into those, and how they all have to work together to create like one objective or one product or one goal. So then we're gonna move into our project where we're going to we're gonna be able to choose what different industries we want to explore more, do that research, and then come together to collaborate to actually create a product from start to finish. So it's gonna be cool.
Thanks so much. Ms. Spell, do you want to talk about dance? I see a lot of dance questions.
Yes, I would love to. So I want to talk about both dance foundations and the stretch, strengthen, and flow class. So just to give you a little bit of information, in dance foundations, we will learn a variety of dance techniques, including modern, jazz, ballet, some West African forms, and other forms as well, including hip hop, breaking, voguing, and some other folk dances. So just from all over the world as well. So part of Dance Foundations is dancing, and some of it is also learning about history and context and getting outside of American dance forms as well. We'll learn how to make our own dances as solos and in group contexts, even online. And we are going to perform. So Dance Foundations will be part of school performances, including ACBA Hour. And those are digital performances, and I'm sure you'll learn more about those at some point. And we'll also get to know ourselves better as artists and get a chance to sort of figure out how we want to express ourselves through movement. And that can connect to your other arts practices as well, your visual arts, your music, and theater. Later in the year, we're also going to work on creating dance videos And so that's also going to be really fun. Dance on video is a whole genre and part of dance that we're going to explore. Stretch, Strengthen, and Flow is a physical education class that features movement practices including yoga, Pilates, somatic practices, which just means body practices. One of those is called Alexander Technique, and you're going to learn all about that. Meditation, and we'll do some dance-based movement as well. You do not have to be part of the other dance classes to do Stretch, Strengthen, and Flow, but there's going to be some overlap, and it's a great cross-training class. We'll do some cardio, we'll stretch, and we'll learn how to create our own workout routines that feel right for our bodies and ourselves, because everybody's different in that way. We're going to learn about body systems and human anatomy and how to create a culture of body positivity around us. So we're going to also explore the connections between mental, emotional, social, and physical health, because it's all connected. So all of that is going to be part of our Stretch, Strengthen, and Flow class. Yeah.
Thank you so much. That sounds wonderful. Also, everyone is taking strength, SSF, Strengthen, Stretch, and Flow. Did I do it? Stretch, Strengthen, and Flow. Everyone's taking that for their physical education credit. So every student's going to take that one this year. I might come. I might be rostered in there. Thank you. Okay. Foundations. Next up, Miss Ruff, Social Emotional Learning.
Hi guys. Like I said before, I'm your school counselor. And not only will you see me in foundations class, but you might also see me for other things, either individual counseling or we ran a few groups last year, which I'm hoping to continue that this year. Last year we had an LGBT group, we had a female empowerment group, we had a young men's group. So I hope that we can continue to do that. So what I do as a school counselor is I help you guys in academic areas, college careers. So I'll work in partnership with Miss Green's class at times, and then also with social emotional things. So, which is what my class is social emotional learning. So some of the things that we're going to cover are growth mindset, different emotional intelligences, conflict resolution, utilizing support, and then two of my favorites, multicultural awareness and civic engagement. So I'm going to ask you to be vulnerable and open in this class and probably really, look at your feelings and how do you feel or how would that make you feel? And I know that could be uncomfortable at times, but examining and talking about it is really part of the process and how we grow and kind of reach mastery. But I guess as being social emotional learning, you never really reach mastery. But I think that's the part, kind of the fun of it, is just kind of continuing to grow as a human. So yeah.
Thanks, Ms. Ruff. Okay, let's hear from Ms. Haynes.
All right. Hopefully you all can see me. We are losing daylight here, so I am sorry, and I'm also a glasses wearer, which I'm sure some of you can relate to, the struggle there. So I, once again, teach study skills. So this is a class that's built around the ACPA habits. If you're now all of a sudden recalling that that ACPA habits poster that you saw, and you're like, oh, I don't know those yet. Don't worry. You don't have to know them. You don't even have to know them first day. So we're going to be going over what those are and how those apply to our learning. We're going to be talking about how to use technology, which is a big one, especially this year, and really all the years going forward. So talking about how to use Google Suite and also Schoology and Zoom. We are also going to be talking about test taking and study strategies. So basically how to do school, right? So I'm really excited. It's going to look a little different this year. So get ready. If you haven't taken the class, obviously it's all new to you, but if you have, it's going to be a little different. I hope you'll like it.
Thanks. Okay, did we hear from all the foundations teachers? Yes. Gosh, 2 for 2, y'all. Okay, next up, Miss Haynes, you get to keep talking about the widget.
Awesome. Okay, perfect. So basically to get started, I I am the intervention specialist. So I'm working with really anyone who needs a little extra support in a class, or who maybe needs extra time, maybe needs a separate room to work in when we're in the building. So last year when I was given my classroom, I was also told, like, you can name it whatever you want. And I came up with Widget for 2 reasons, but essentially it's going to be a room that helps you get from one place to another. So if you have already been in the Widget, you know it's a great place to go to for taking breaks, if you need some quiet time, if you need to take a test, that sort of thing, and it's always open. But since this year we are digital, it's kind of changing its meaning a little bit, and so it's more of a community. So it is all of you. If you're enrolled in ACPA, you're part of Widget, and parents, it's staff, it's everyone, okay? So we're just going to be relying on each other this year to help us get through all of these changes and all of the new challenges and hurdles that will come, I'm sure, this year. And it's really, like I said, open. So if you need help, reach out to me. I'm always there. If you think that you should have received a welcome letter, I sent them out last week from me. If you think you should have received that, please reach out to me. If you have received it, make sure to fill out the family survey and the student survey. That's really, really helpful to me because that gives me a little bit of information going into the year and also going into any documentation that we need to update. So I think that's it. Yeah, reach out to me if you have questions. Email, cell phone, all of it. And also set up with a meeting with me if you haven't already. Thanks.
Okay, everybody. Thank you all so much for spending time with all of us. We certainly appreciate your time committed to being on the computer. We've been here for an hour and a half on a Google Meet listening to other people speak, which in terms of virtual learning, no one person usually talks for an entire hour and a half. It's usually a lot of collective voices and a lot of collaboration, a lot of difference. So I just feel like this is a really good first step, and that, you know, I can feel the community even though it's over the internet. A quick last closing remarks from me, and then we'll get to Q&A. First is thank you. We sincerely appreciate you choosing ACPA. ACPA is a wonderful, wonderful place, and we truly cannot wait to get to know all of you, or to keep getting to know you. 2, students, your email is your best friend. Please check your email. If you don't know how to get on Schoology, that's where you're going to find out, because it's linked to your email. Your email is your first name dot your last name at artcollegeprep.org, and your password is ACPA and then your grad year, but then you have to change it once you log in. All of our emails are posted on the school website. They're all the same as last year, so you can contact us there. If you need anything at all, please don't hesitate to communicate. We are here for you. We're here to support you. We can't wait to get the year started. That just makes it even more real. Okay, don't forget to log on to your PowerSchool. It should be working now between today and tomorrow, because then it's going to go hide until the 25th. Okay, so I'm, after this meeting, going to send out an email with the form that I posted at the beginning of presentation. If you have a moment to stick around, I'm going to post the link again in the chat bar. It's also going to have the middle school supply list, and it will hopefully have a recording of this entire conversation in case you want to rewind and watch it over and over and over again. Great. Okay, questions in the chat bar, or you can unmute yourself. Let's just be very mindful to, you know, try and give everyone space. All right, if you don't have any questions, we'll see you soon.
Hi, I had a question.
Hi, you're in Iowa.
Yes, hi, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
So I had a question about accessing the email. Which, do I go to the main website page to enter it through there, or? How do I?
We'll go to Gmail.
Okay.
And I'm actually sending you a special email right now with Anaya's email because hers is a little bit different.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Ajana, I am sorry I will not be your social studies teacher, but I will visit on a regular basis. You can count on that. What other questions do you have for me?
I have a question. I don't think you see me. I'm Juliana's mom. Has there been an updated handbook that has come out?
There is. It's posted on the website, and I can send it out again.
Okay.
It will also be in our essential forms that you'll have to sign again. That'll come through your email here in the next week or so. Annual forms. School starts on September 1st. Subject line. Dr. TFT, let's set up a separate conversation and I can help you log in.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So do we have to use our own emails or do we have to use the school emails?
You have to use the school email.
Okay.
Hi. So to get to PowerSchool is where we go to get my daughter's schedule, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you said you sent an email with a link for that. What's the subject line? Because I'm not sure I got that email.
Okay, the subject line is send data, and then a bunch of numbers.
Okay. Now, if I didn't get that email, I can just access PowerSchool by going on the Art and College Prep website?
Yeah, you can. If you email me, I have your Access account, and I can easily email it to you again as well.
Okay, and what was your email address?
Fingerhead at artcollegeprep.org.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely. So Mastery is our grading system. This is not the same grading system as used at the high school. Our grading system is designed as M being Mastery, and then a P, and then an NP, and then NE. NE essentially means you didn't give anything to evaluate. NP means there's still a lot of work to be done in order to get towards Mastery. Progressing means on the right track, and Mastery means you've done it so well that you can teach somebody else. Now, Mastery takes a long time, and it also a lot of times takes multiple attempts. And so as, you know, people who are using the Mastery scale, we really have to think about this in a way where we reframe our traditional way of looking at the grade scale. A P is not a B, and an M is not an A. And everyone has a different way of reaching Mastery. And so we are going to take our time with working with Mastery. And the thing that inspired the decision was, gosh, a lot of things. But I know for me, an A or a D were always very limiting. And it wasn't an accurate representation of what I really knew. A doesn't mean anything to me. Neither does a C. But what does mean something to me is seeing the feedback that comes with that Mastery scale. My teacher and I having a conversation about what my evaluation really and truly means. And our goal is for our students to never ask the question, what did I get on that? Because they should always know what they have in their brains when they're taking any sort of assessment.
Can I jump in about Mastery too?
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's a movement kind of nationwide to move more towards this grading model because it fosters growth. A lot of times if you receive a grade, especially like a lower grade, a C or a D or an F, usually what that says to a student is that you should stop trying to learn. And we never want to tell students that they should stop trying to learn. But if there is a time when they get a D on a test and there's no chance to make up for that, then inevitably they are going to stop trying to learn because they're going to get discouraged by those low grades. So we feel that if we remove those grades, the definitive points where you say, you're done, then we're asking students to stop trying to learn. And we can't do that at ACPA because we're always going to be asking students to try to learn. So there's a philosophy around it too. And it's more about moving away from traditional models that don't serve kids, especially kids that have needs that are not considered the norm to everybody else. So we feel that it helps kids that need extra time or need extra attention achieve to the fullest extent. And we're in the high school. It's a little bit more complicated in the high school because of all the different subjects and the alignment to college and how colleges are still using those grade systems for the most part. But what we use in the high school is a 5-point scale that is very similar to the M and the P, but it's more about an assessment of where you're at in the work that you turn in. And there's always the chance to still improve on that. So it seems the first year of mastery in the middle school, I kind of hate to say this, but I wish we had state tests last year because we would have been able to prove that mastery works, but we didn't. So I hope that helps.
Can I give one analogy to mastery from a music perspective? It's kind of the way I think of it. If I were to ask you on your clarinet to learn the C major scale, and you were able to get in front of me and play the C major scale, and then that was it, and you were finished, that would be kind of a silly exercise in life. But if I were to say, haha, now you learn the C major scale, you can use that in the rest of your life in music. You have now learned something to use. And I think the point of mastery is that what you have gathered now is the information and the skills to continue to use that the rest of your life in what you're doing. So it's a much better way to think about learning than I got to that point and the learning has stopped, to piggyback what Mr. Gatto just said.
Thanks, Mr. Jackson. Are there any other questions about things that we discussed tonight? Mrs. Rogers, of course I will.
Where will we find our school email?
Your school email, I'm going to put this in the chat bar.
Okay.
And I sent your parents an email with your password.
All right.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. I don't know if my question was already answered, but are we going to be able to animate our digital art?
I'll jump in on that one. So there were a couple questions on digital drawing, and I was trying to answer them in the chat bar. So for the digital art class specifically, we're going to be using the free Adobe apps that are on your Chromebooks. So that'll be something, if you're familiar with them and you want to download them before school, once you have your Chromebook, that's fine, but we'll walk through that at the beginning in the first week. For the drawing and the animation projects, I'm kind of leaving those more for the spring semester for January, in case there's a chance, we're back in the building. But I'm also working with Mr. Wagner. He's been super helpful with the tech stuff and, having extra tools and different things that we might have access to. We're still figuring that out, because I understand, being a digital artist myself, it's extremely frustrating to be able to draw and to do the art that you want with a mouse or even with the touchpad that's on the Chromebooks. So I'm trying to save those projects, the more advanced projects that will require those tools, for later on. And so the intro things that we're going to do in the first couple terms should be, you know, the touchpad on the Chromebooks should work perfectly fine for that, because I'm not going to ask you to draw, you know, on the touchpad with your finger. That's crazy. That's definitely not a good skill to practice. So yeah, that's something that's definitely been on my mind with the digital art courses for both middle school and high school, and how we're going to really utilize these new tools and get them to students, because I know there's so many possibilities with digital drawing and animation, and I'm really excited. And so if you have suggestions on something that's maybe worked well for you, please let me know, because I'm open to anybody's suggestions and seeing what we can get to you guys. So yeah, so hang tight on that one, but we definitely are going to get to drawing and animation probably later in the next semester. So hang tight.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Thanks.
I'm sorry, I just had one more question.
Absolutely.
Will there be a syllabus sent out for the classes?
Each teacher will have their own syllabus, and they'll go over that with each of the students within the school day, probably within the first few weeks. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Have a good night.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
Hello, this is Kim Krook, Brianna, Germany's mom. I had a question on the career path learning. Is it going to be a set number or choice of careers that they can look into, or will the student have more of a say in the careers that they were looking for more information on and potentially shadowing?
Hi. So what we're going to do, I mean, there's so many careers out there that it's really hard to, like, I didn't want to be random about this. So what we're going to do is chunk them into different categories. So we've got 5 main categories of industries that you can go into. And then from there, we're going to like study a variety of them. And I definitely want feedback from the students. That's part of the curriculum as to what they want to learn more about. And then what I'm going to do is teach them how to do the research on their own, so that they can go forth and research any kind of a career. They will know what critical things they need to look for in order to differentiate between careers that are similar or even industries that are similar. And then within our project, the project is going to be a little bit more limited, because there are going to be set roles that they have within the business that they're going to be creating, but the students will be able to have choice as to what of those industries they want to explore and the careers that they kind of want to carry out in our project. So the project is basically going to be the students are going to be broken into groups, and they're going to create their own cosmetics product, like a sugar scrub. And there's going to be students that are in the business industry of creating this product. There's going to be students in tech, the health side of creating this product, the liberal arts side of creating this project, and also education. So the students will be able to explore the careers that go into making this product and then actually carry them out to create a product together as a team. So I hope that kind of answers your question. There's going to be, the biggest thing that I want them to take away from this class is the ability to do their own really thorough career research. And the other thing I want them to gain is a deeper understanding of themselves, like their interests, their skills, their talents, and their passions, so that they can know what's out there that they can use those passions within and be able to explore those as well on their own. Especially important as they go into high school.
That was very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Any other questions for us?
When and where will be the next meeting?
Oh, the first day of school. But you're going to get a lot of emails, so check those out.
And will it be on here or Zoom?
The next meeting will be on Zoom.
Okay.
All right, I also have another question.
Okay.
So, like, what about theater? Are we going to be doing like theater like later on in the year, like because of the virus? Like theater?
So Mr. Jackson is a wonderful theater professional. We currently don't have it listed as a foundations class, but Mr. Jackson.
Hopefully, in the second half of the year, we can create another foundations option, or we will be back in the building and be able to have something after school as well. So we'll have to look at how we're going to do that in the second half of the year. Not scheduled for the first half. We won't leave it out.
Thanks, Mr. Jackson. All right, everyone. Well, thank you very much for joining us this evening. If you have any other questions, please do not hesitate to follow up. I've been trying to be very regular with my email communication, and I know that everyone else has been as well. And it was wonderful seeing you and getting to know you and all of that. Check your email. There will be Schoology login information, tutorials, same with PowerSchool, as well as just general information. Please do not forget to fill out the form. I'm going to put it in the chat bar one more time just for fun, and I'll also email it out as well. It was great seeing all of you, and have a wonderful night.
Where will we be able to check our email and like notifications that you send us?
In Gmail. You can log in right now on your Gmail and go straight to your email address.
Okay.
Just do, I'll put it in the box, mail.google.com.
Zachary, what are you most excited for?
Just to see everybody, because my school wasn't like that great, honestly, and like that's why I moved to a new school.
Yeah. We're excited to have you.
You're gonna love it, Zachary. You're gonna have so much fun this year. Glad to have you.
Miss Fingerhead.
Yeah.
I had a couple concerns about just like socialization for this year, especially doing online and like meeting the other students and like making friends and stuff. And I was just a little bit nervous about that. How do you think that's gonna like work out?
Eden, that's a really good question. We're definitely going to make sure that we have clubs. I think that's going to be a really good way for you guys to get to know each other. We're also going to have some relationship building things that are built into our everyday classes that will help you make some of those connections. We're going to have, we're brainstorming every day some cool opportunities. But Aiden, if you have any ideas or something that you're interested in and you would like to see, I would encourage you to email me because we can definitely do more of that.
Hey, Aiden.
Okay, I'll try to think of some stuff. Yeah.
Hey, Aiden, it's Mr. Whit. So remember last year in science class when we did a lot of work? Hi, how are you? So last year in science class, we did a lot of work in learning groups, right? So this year, we're going to do a lot of work in learning groups, and we'll figure out how that works with Zoom. And it'll be great. And here's what I need, because you have experience working in learning groups, and there'll be a lot of 7th graders coming in who don't know anything about it. So you're going to be one of my leaders in helping the new learners understand what learning groups are all about.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'll make sure that the learning groups have a mixture of returning learners and new learners, and you'll be one of those returning learners who can be a real leader in that. Okay, and we'll make sure that we mix up the learning groups enough that you get to meet everybody in the class.
Yeah, do you think that for the learning groups, we're gonna especially within Zoom, do you think that we'll have different Zoom calls for different learning groups? That would be how it works? I don't really know how Zoom works because I've never used it before, but I'm assuming that's how it's gonna work out.
Yeah, we're all gonna learn together, but there are these things called breakout rooms, and so you'll have a breakout room assigned to your learning group, and then we'll all come back together and talk about what you did. Oh, lost him.
I have a question. So, what's gonna happen with the theater stuff?
So we don't have theater selected as an option or as a selection in the fall. Last year we did performing arts as an entire class, and we just went through it during a different portion of the year. So I did instrumental music, I did vocal music, we moved into theater, and then we moved into the technology of music. So we kind of had a variety of it, and all occurred at different times during the year. So this year, to start in the fall, especially in the digital model, we decided to just offer 2 of the things. So we offered, the instrumental music and the vocal music, but we hadn't offered any theater. So we'll have to look at what that's like when we come back in January.
Okay.
We will find
also,
Sorry.
I said, is there orchestra?
Not orchestra. We just have band, which is instrumental music.
Okay.
But you can play any instrument you like if that's an orchestral instrument. We can work on any orchestral instruments you'd like.
And when you get into high school, you can take violins or cellos into the class called Band Lab, and it makes the band super cool. And Mr. Jackson does a similar thing. So we don't usually do traditional groups that you're used to. It's more like rock and roll, but with a twist.
All right, friends. Any other questions? Okay. Have a wonderful night. We'll see you all on September 1st. We're very excited.